What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here. Now, the Atlantic finally has something, and this is something we need to pay attention to. We have an area of interest right here in the northern Gulf of Mexico. Although it's an only 20% chance of development right now, I'm going to read this off and discuss the case for and against this development. The northern Gulf of Mexico as of 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. A surface trough of low-level pressure is expected to develop off the northern Gulf of Mexico from a decaying frontal boundary currently located over the southeastern United States. So basically, what's going on is that there's a frontal boundary going on, likely some severe weather, and the back end of this is developed a low and as occluded and starting to swing down towards the Gulf of Mexico. So these kinds of things aren't really unheard of. They happen from time to time. A couple of good examples of this were Hurricane Barry back in 2019 that would make landfall in Louisiana, and Hurricane Hannah in 2020 that would make landfall near Brownsville in Texas. So this isn't unheard of. We've seen hurricanes out of this, and those are just two examples of that. But let's go ahead and get back into this. Any development of the system is expected to be slow to occur while it drifts offshore of the northern Gulf of Mexico coastline through the middle and later part of this week. Regardless of development, heavy rains will be possible along portions of the northern Gulf coastline from Louisiana to the Florida Panhandle over the next several days. For more information about the potential for heavy rain, please see the products from your local National Weather Service office. Chances in the next 48 hours is near 0%, but the chances in the next 5 days are 20%. We're actually going ahead and take a look at the satellite imagery in the Gulf of Mexico right here. We're already seeing some convection develop right here. The low is not in the Gulf of Mexico right now. I want to make this very clear. It is not, but there is some convection that is bubbling up in the Gulf right now. And now we're going to go ahead and talk about the case for and against this development. If we take a look at the global sea temperatures, it looks really good for development. We're looking at 30 to 31, even up to potentially 32 degrees Celsius, which, if you're in for context, because this is in the United States, 86, 87, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's on the surface. And we're seeing water in some of these areas down potentially 70 meters, maybe even 80 meters deep, which that's more than enough fuel for this thing to get started. So on the surface, this looks absolutely good. Like, oh, this is going to actually develop. This might actually happen. There is one problem with this, the wind shear. And if you take a look at this, the eastern half of the Gulf of Mexico, down from Florida all the way to the Yucatan and then some, there is a heavily sheared environment right here, which if this center of circulation moves into that, it's going to absolutely tear it apart. But it looks like this area of interest right here, the area of potential development, is just north of that really bad wind shear. I mean, maybe the southern part of it clips into like the 25, 30 knot wind shear right there. But this is something we'll have to pay attention to the next few days. We're actually going to go ahead and go back on this. It looks like it hasn't really moved that. It looks like it hasn't really moved that much. Which, if that's the case, that's the case, then this thing may have a harder time developing if it moves further to the south. But if it stays where it's in the middle, right in the middle, it might hit it just right. But nevertheless, the development's going to be slow because this thing needs time to organize. It needs time to over water to develop. So another thing we'll have to pay attention to. Another thing we also have to pay attention to is the dry air and the moisture in the Gulf of Mexico. So this is where we are now. This is the moisture. We're starting to see some storms firing off in this area right here. It looks really moist in the northeastern quarter of the Gulf right here. And it looks like that moisture is going to, if the GFS is correct, of course, it looks like that moisture is going to continue to kind of take over much of the Gulf, although it's going to get lesser and lesser. It's kind of going to fade up a bit, but it does look really pretty moist across the Gulf. It's not going to affect the storm movement that much. Dry air is not going to impact it that much. We are going to see some more dry air, just a huge dry air invasion in the next 5 days, kind of go through Louisiana into the Gulf of Mexico, but that really dies off once it gets to that. And if we take a look, does appear to maybe be some circulation that's going on, but we'll have to wait and see when it comes to that. There is going to be some moisture. There might be some times where it's in some bad spots for it. But if this thing can develop and it can close off that center of circulation with a lot of convection, then it's possible, ladies and gentlemen. And I wanted to make this video kind of talking about this because I watched Michael Romali's video talking about. I've watched several of their videos. I will leave a link to the channel in the description down below. Please go subscribe to them. They would be much appreciated. And I was seeing the possibility of this thing happening, and it looks like the NHC sees this too. I will say it came earlier than expected, for sure, but when I saw Michael Romali's video, I knew I had to pay attention to this, and this is why. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. The goal of this channel is to get more people engaged with weather. But with that being said, hit the red subscribe button. Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.